Hi, my name's James, if you don't know me already, and this is the first of my videos offering short reflections and meditations to introduce us to ideas around mindfulness, meditation, relaxation. And the inspiration for that is, I think if you look at the world around us now, we're definitely in need of stability, and in a world that is literally full of dis-ease, we are in need of practices that bring ease and calm in the body, even if that's fleetingly. So I hope these offerings help. You might have heard what I've got to say before, you might be brand new to practicing with me, and I'm hoping to bring in lots of little strands that might help us from music, great works of literature, history and philosophy of yoga, and psychotherapy, all these kind of things that can help us feel connected at this time. So the first thing we're doing is sitting down, finding a comfortable seat, whether that's cross-legged or sitting on a chair or levitating in the lotus position, completely up to you, go for it. And finding a position where you can sit for a while whilst I introduce the practice, and we'll go into a seated meditation. So you might have come to this class or signed up for this video wanting something, wanting to feel calmer, wanting to do the practice and then leave feeling inspired, feeling uplifted, feeling better. And that feeling that you might want could come from a place of not feeling very good in the here and now. And that feeling is a virtual feeling sometime in the future. Now, that is completely valid. We want to feel better. I want to practice mindfulness to feel calmer. I want to change some unhelpful ways of being and find a new way of being in my body, calmer, yeah? But actually, mindfulness, if it's all about the present moment, isn't about getting better or feeling better sometime in the future. It's really about the here and now, and actually the here and now can feel really uncomfortable sometimes when we stop, we strip away the need to be doing or achieving or getting better, and we can feel that what rushes in to fill that space can be uncomfortable. It can be physically uncomfortable, emotional sensations, which of course are also physical, or it can be mentally very crowded all of a sudden when we stop. That's totally normal. So if mindfulness is not about getting to the bit where we feel better, it's about the here and now, then how are we practicing paying attention to the here and now? I think that's really important. And to pay attention is a very interesting word. We think about attention as stretching our mind onto objects, and that's where the origin of the word comes from. From French, my French is terrible, but in ballet we say tendu, to stretch the leg, tendu the leg. And this stretching of our attention onto our breath, onto our body when we're practicing a meditation is quite a lot of effort, really, I think. You know, pay attention, or if you're looking out there in the distance, there's something over there and you're trying to pay attention to it. It seems like a strain. And actually, maybe there's something about the direction of our attention being the other way around. And if you look at existential phenomenology, which is more than just a big fancy word that makes you feel clever, they think about attention as stretching from the environment around you towards your perception and your consciousness. So, to pay attention is as much about not trying and seeing if you can receive information and pay attention and notice that, and also being able to direct your attention. And actually, maybe being able to receive is about tuning out rather than tuning in. Maybe it's about letting go rather than holding on and forcing on. Maybe you signed up for this video with an open mind, and I think it was Oscar Wilde who said something like, everyone says they have an open mind, when in fact it's just empty. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think I would love to have an empty mind half the time compared to what goes on in there. But practicing mindfulness is not to be confused with expecting to have an empty mind. When you stop and you sit and you think, oh, I've got to have an empty mind and I'm not, therefore I'm not being mindful, well, that's only another way to perhaps hit yourself with a stick saying you're not being good at mindfulness. Mindfulness is not something to be good at, it is something to practice. It's not something that is taking us somewhere. That is a nice side effect. It's something that is really honing in on the here and now with acceptance. Accepting how we feel here and now, accepting how we're thinking, accepting we're really distracted, and responding to that kindly. We love change. We are superhuman in the sense that we are able to change, fix problems, be adaptable. The last year shows us that our ability to change is our superpower, yeah? But there's something very funny about only being focused on change that can stop you from changing, and that's where the acceptance comes in. It's no surprise that the new wave of psychological therapies are mindfulness based, because there's a recognition there that if you accept the here and now, then you move from here to wherever. If you're only focused on there, getting there, and you try and go over the here and now, or around it, or underneath it, or numb it out, and think somehow you're going to leapfrog to this new state of being without going through where you're at, then I think that you're setting yourself up potentially to fail. So, paying attention here and now, noticing it can be difficult, and responding with care and without judgment is fundamental. And that's also in that word. To attend to something, the doctor attends to the patient. The mother attends to the child. There is attending, tenderness in that. So we're not paying attention, just noticing coldly, this is happening, my mind is going here. Or worse, getting annoyed with ourselves because we've wandered off. Maybe if a child wandered off and you wanted to encourage it back to this interesting phenomena, you would take its hand. You wouldn't hit it with a stick. So we're going to start our practice now, which is very simply introducing ourselves to being still in the body and letting go of unnecessary tension, noticing the breath, and of course, being aware of what comes and what goes. So find an evenness on your seat. So you might need to rock a little bit side to side, noticing the weight even between those sitting bones, the two halves of the pelvis, and then lift up your spine as though the crown of your head is being pulled up as quite a nice metaphor. Not the chin sticking up, but slightly tucked, keeping this neck nice and supported. So if we do round backwards, we pull on the ligaments in the lower back, start to get tight in the front of the shoulder, and that can be distracting and actually quite tiring. When your spinal column is really aligned and upright, in a neutral spine, all the muscles that support your spine will fire up without much effort. So whilst it feels initially perhaps a bit strange to be upright, once you're there, your body will support itself. And that's something that's very interesting when we look at the breath. The body will furnish itself with the breath that it needs. So we don't need necessarily to control it. Take a moment to find a position for your arms. So your hands could be palms facing down or facing up or somewhere in your lap. Let the shoulders move down away from the ears, and the elbows hang heavy by the side of the body, and you might need to move a little bit to find that position. That's absolutely fine. And then starting to soften your eyes, perhaps you close the eyes. And again, starting out is about noticing what works for you. Perhaps you notice with your eyes closed that your mind may wander off more rapidly. So try opening the eyes and seeing if that grounding in your visual sense keeps you more here and now. And you might alternate, you might try one or the other, but you don't know unless you try. Start to become aware of tension that may be held in the face. Let the eyes relax, the space behind the eyes, between the eyes. Let the jaw relax, so the lower jaw may separate from the upper jaw, and the tongue loose in the base of the mouth, the throat softening, and that gives you a clear channel for the breath. Notice if your breath is audible, or whether you could let go of controlling the breath and let it be quiet. And as we take our first steps into this seated practice, Having curiosity about what might interrupt us, rather than judgment. Noticing if we get distracted or we're not quite sure how we should feel, that we can respond with kindness. Notice where the breath is moving. Is it more in the belly or the chest? And again, there's no right or wrong. Maybe there's tension you can loosen in your lower belly, allowing the breath to move more towards the waistband. And take a moment to notice the energy in your body. Maybe that's the amount of energy, tired, heavy, or alert. Maybe it's also the emotional quality of that energy. Is there a colour to it? A tone? And we notice that without seeking to change it. And slowly bring your hands to feel the breath without changing the breath. So maybe hands come slowly to the chest or the belly, or one on each. Lick the lips and part your lips a little. Notice whether you deepened the breath or made the breath shallower to show that you weren't controlling the breath. And try and let the breath almost happen to you. Dare yourself not to be involved. Feel the temperature of the air on the way in, and the warmth and the humidity of the breath on the way out. And maybe recognizing how very hard it is not to control the things beneath our fingertips. And then lick the lips, close the mouth. Take a bigger breath in through the nose. Open the mouth and sigh. 2 more like this. Inhale. Filling up. Exhale. Last time. Inhale. And exhale. Blinking the eyes open and releasing the arms. Good, just take a moment to move a little bit side to side, and if your eyes were closed, slowly bringing them a tiny bit open. Good, letting that light stretch back into your awareness again. Good. And whenever you've taken this video, whatever you've got coming in the rest of your day and week, I hope that this helped, and you can always come back to it. Always feel free to share the link with anyone who it might help. And most importantly of all, take care. Thank you.